was there, inside that labyrinth of bars and screams, that Donald Henry Gaskins became something more than a criminal. He became a killer who liked it. When he murdered another inmate, a man twice his size, they asked him why. He simply smiled and said, "Because I wanted his seat at the table." And no one ever sat in his seat again. By the time Donald Gaskins was paroled in 1961, he had already tasted blood, real blood, and he liked it. But South Carolina didn't know that. All they saw was a scrawny, soft-spoken man with slicked back hair and a southern drawl so slow it sounded friendly. He could smile like a neighbor and murder like a machine. What no one realized, yet, was that Gaskins was about to go on one of the most quietly prolific killing sprees in American history. He returned to his old haunts, the cracked highways, the backwoods bars, the forgotten towns clinging to the Carolina swamps. Gaskins took odd jobs, mechanic, roofer, traveling salesman, but none of them stuck. What stuck was what he called his coastal kills, murders of opportunity, committed on long stretches of road between the Carolinas and Florida. Runaways, sex workers, drifters, anyone no one would come looking for. They'd hitch a ride, he'd offer them a beer, sometimes a place to stay, and then, when they let their guard down, he'd snap. He never killed the same way twice. Sometimes he used a knife, sometimes a hammer. Other times, he'd burn them alive or drown them in swamps just to watch the fear. The bodies were hidden in marshes, shallow graves, or weighted in creeks. To Gaskins, it wasn't just about death. It was the screaming. That was the part that made him feel alive. The louder they screamed, the calmer he became. Between 1969 and 1975, Gaskins claimed he killed around 80 to 90 people. Law enforcement officially tied him to less than 24. But the numbers were never the point. He didn't count them like trophies. He remembered them by how they died. And then, in 1973, he took things further. He started killing people he knew. It started with his own niece, Janice Kirby, and her friend. They were 15 and 17, just kids. Gaskins said they were using drugs, so he took it upon himself to teach them a lesson. He beat them, raped them, and drowned them in a pond. That was when he crossed the line from serial predator to full-blown psychopath. Family meant nothing. Loyalty meant nothing. Pain was the only language he respected. He murdered a pregnant woman named Diane Neely after she threatened to expose him. He killed her boyfriend too, just to be safe. He executed a 13-year-old boy who had witnessed one of his murders. In another case, he killed a friend simply because the man asked for a ride. And still, no one caught him. He was so unremarkable, so invisible, that police never connected the dots. A string of disappearances in rural counties meant nothing without hard evidence. Gaskins was methodical. He buried his victims in backwoods graveyards, often returning later to mutilate or burn their remains just to relive the moment. But even monsters get careless. In 1975, a young man named Dennis Bellamy went missing, along with his half-brother. They were last seen with Gaskins, and unlike the others, these boys had people who cared. Real families, real pressure. The police started sniffing around, and Gaskins felt it. The heat, the eyes. He tried to play it off.